Well, hello, my parking money friends. Thank you for joining us again this year. We're into a new year, 2025. We're excited about that. Looking forward to what all we've got going. We got a little different setup here this time. We are just me and Brian are going to discuss the markets. My
Yep.
co-host Brian
Happy New
Barr.
Year.
Happy
Yep.
New Year to you, brother.
Yeah.
We're going to just discuss what we're seeing in the market on this episode, and we've got a lot of cool stuff planned coming up in 2025. But we're going to talk about a little bit about what we see happening in the future. We're going to talk about a little bit about what we saw in review for 2024. So,
Yeah.
Brian, what's your thoughts?
Well, this year is an interesting year, right? And there was some pessimism in it. But so I started snooping around and taking a look in the past of what's happening in 2024, like the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I was dumbfounded with some of those numbers I shared with you.
Oh man, goodness
earlier.
sakes. Yeah.
I mean, everybody's like, "Oh, how's the market? Oh, it's up a little bit." Well, in the online auction world, it's up sevenfold in the last 5 years.
Crazy. Brian gave me the number, so I'm gonna let you read the number.
Yeah, sure. So this is what's interesting. So 2019, right, 5 years ago, at in-person auctions, live auctions, the Meekums, Bonhams, all those kind of auctions, significant amount of cars are sold, 24,000 cars.
Yeah.
About 12,000 cars were sold in online auctions.
Yeah.
This is all pre-pandemic.
This is all in 2019.
All in 2019.
5-6 years ago.
Yeah, 36,000 cars, roughly.
Right.
So you flash forward to 2024, and about 2,000 more cars sold in those in-person auctions. 26,000.
26,000.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and you think about that, Brian. They can't do but so many because they've only got so many days to operate.
Mm-hmm.
They have a static number of how many they can send through in a day.
Right.
So they basically tie it to some kind of car event. Monterey or
Scottsdale, Kissimmee, which starts this week.
Yeah. Or even Amelia. So they tie it to that event. So that event only goes on for a couple of days. So that number of cars that they can sell in a day times that number of days, that's how many cars they've got every year.
Yeah, it's fixed.
It's fixed.
Right. So up 8% isn't bad.
Yeah, no, it's really not. It's not
Yeah.
bad.
Online,
Online,
54,000 cars, 350% increase, sevenfold in 5 years.
350%, wasn't it? 350%?
Yeah, 350% increase.
350% increase. And and the crazy part about it is, I mean, we've been preaching for a few months now on these things as an asset class. That right there shows you, I mean, goodness sakes. I mean, what is that total? That is 80,000 cars sold last year.
Yeah.
Online auctions and now that's just with no, I guess that's all.
Yeah.
All the stuff online.
Yeah, that's anything at an auction.
Yeah.
Right. Or in an online auction, like Cars and Bids, our friends that bring a trailer. That's why I shifted my business model.
Yeah.
For 2025.
Yeah. Because your former employee wouldn't do that, and that just blows me away.
Right. And I get it that there's absolutely brick and mortar stores make a ton of sense. The auctions, like you said, are events and happenings. You're going there.
Yeah.
You got to, but there's some sort of vacation in your business.
And honestly, I mean, we're going to Kissimmee next week. It's almost a car show and an event.
Yeah.
We do it every year. We go to Kissimmee. I have a group of guys, and we all go down there as a guys trip. And we go down and we feed ourselves big, nice dinners, and we drink a few beers, and we
have
drink
a good
few
time.
Cocktails, and we love life. And of course, we get the bidder passes to where they'll serve cocktails at the at the auctions, and we love life. It's an event, and
happening.
It's a happening. Yeah. And we love that, and those guys that put those auctions together, I mean, they do fantastic. I mean, it's exciting. It's exciting to watch a car come up and
hear the story
and hit a bid for $1 million.
Yeah,
you're just going,
or the reserve is off.
Oh yeah, the reserve is off. I remember back in the day, and I've been doing this way too long, but I remember back in the day when $100,000 was a huge bid for anything.
Yes.
And now they're getting $100,000 on Friday night,
right?
Thursday night,
exactly.
Yeah.
And their cars are going up for over $1 million.
Over $1 million, yeah.
It's crazy.
The auction at Kissimmee, and we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But But one of the things we talked about earlier, Mecum at Kissimmee is just a huge event every year. This year, they're selling 7,500 cars. They have 5 original Cobras, Shelby Cobras, 5 original. They have a Dragon Snake. They have a full-blown race car that raced back in the 60s.
The Essex wire car.
Essex wire car. They've got a 289 Cobras and a 427 Cobra that sat in a garage in a barn for 30 years. It was a true barn find.
Yeah, within a half hour here.
Yeah, within a half hour here. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was in a barn in Myers Park in Charlotte, and our good friend Tom Cotter found it. And sold it one time for $1 million. Then
for the estate or the family,
for the family, for the estate. Then Peter Clute had it for a year, and it's taking it a year later to Kissimmee. And the number is, they're scared to put a number on because they don't know exactly what it'll do.
Yeah.
But it's going to be $2 million plus.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like Peter's going to strike.
We were just talking about the rarity of that.
Yeah.
The rarity of that car, and it's how original it is. No hoops.
Yeah.
Under exhaust, still on its Goodyear blue streaks.
Still on its blue streaks from 1967.
You're right. God. Not sure if I'd want to drive on them.
It's a wonder. Oh, you don't want to drive on them. Basically, you want to pull them babies off, stick them over in the corner, and drive on some new tires. That's crazy.
Yeah, but that's just complete. That's so cool.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
Yeah,
and those kind of cars, I think, they're always going to be around.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The Cobra is just one of those iconic cars, and the replica car, continuation car business has helped that.
Oh yeah. Well, we had a conversation with our buddy Matt McSwain while here just a little bit ago, and we talked about the Ferraris having the older Ferraris having the big commanding presence forever.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was based on the fact of how many people drive Ferraris every day now, that buy them from dealerships and drive them every day and are huge Ferrari fans. And so all those guys that do that, and women and guys, know that if they can go find a 30-year-old Ferrari barn find like that, it's worth a ton. But the same, and I brought this up to him. He said, you don't have that with Shelby's. And I'm like, yeah, you don't, but you've got 100,000 replicas floating around.
Right.
Which are desirable. And the thing about it is, the guys that have those cars, they'd love to find a barn find 67 427.
Oh,
too,
yeah.
So.
Yeah. And those cars have come such a long way.
Oh yeah,
right. It's like the ones sitting over here. That industry has changed so much and
so much. Yeah.
So,
and they're not junk anymore. I mean, they're really cool stuff, and so it's very interesting.
Yeah, it's super interesting. It'd be interesting to see what the original car goes for versus the Essex wire car, which they have a big number on.
It's funny. We know Tom Carter is the barn find hunter, and he found that car. He took it to Bonham's auction at Amelia Island.
Dirty.
I mean, dirty. Never knocked a piece of dust.
That's just perfect.
At the time, that was if you found a barn find, you didn't dare knock nothing off of it because it was worth way more dirty than it was.
There were all those jokes going around. People selling cans of barn find dust.
Yeah, so you can go buy a can of barn find dust. But they took it to Bonham's auction and drove it up on stage, and the brakes were locked up on it, and they didn't know it because all they'd been doing is pushing it around, and the damn thing nearly ran off the end of the stage on the other side because they couldn't get it stopped.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's the case now.
And then in that same collection, he had a 275 alloy body Ferrari with steel wheels on it. Which was I mean, I think it went for $2 million.
Yeah, there's a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah,
there's Morgan. There's a bunch of neat stuff.
And
he keeps finding that stuff. It blows my mind.
The story of this deal, of this guy, he bought cars as a young man and made a few bucks into his 30s and 40s and started buying nicer cars, and he loved cars, and he had a mechanic that was that worked on all of his stuff.
Yeah, like one-man shop.
And the guy would go on the weekends and race motorcycles. Okay? Well, unfortunately, like most motorcycle racers, he got killed on a motorcycle. And So he lost him, and so until he found somebody else that could work on the cars, he didn't want to take them anyway. So he parked them in the garage, and he never could find anybody.
Yeah.
So he got on up in life, and developed some ailments, and his family put him in a hospital home, and
the cars languished there. You wonder though, from what we're going back to what we were just talking about, would that happen today now with the online auction presence?
I don't think it would.
Because he probably would say, okay, I no longer have a need for these, like other people are, or they're interested. They can do it themselves. Becomes a different participatory hobby.
Right.
I think the pandemic fueled a lot of that, but I think people figured out how easy it is to do, like day trading and buying crypto.
Oh,
right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And, we looked at these numbers here, too, on and Brian brought this to me, the amount of Gen Zers and millennials are just over the top now. They're up to like a third of the collector car owners.
Right. And I'm guilty of it too. I'm like, there's no young people in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So that group's 28 to 42 years old.
Yeah, 28 to 42. I think it was people born after what was it?
The millennials are 82 to 96.
82 to 96 millennials, and Gen Z is everybody born after 96.
And just Gen Z is 10% of the market.
Yeah.
And we say there's no young people in the hobby.
Yeah,
we're our own worst enemies on that. We gotta embrace them. They're there. They might be into completely different stuff.
Well, and the thing about it is, and I've told you this, and these cars are generational, and the old stuff will lose their passion because those generations will expire. I mean, they'll basically get old and die. And so what happens is that my equation, okay, is you take a model of any car, and I don't care what it is. Let's say a 57 T-Bird, okay. If 1957, you back up 20 years, the 20-year-old that went into the dealership and saw that car, fell in love with it at first sight. He's 20 years old. He is absolutely in love with the car. There isn't no internet around. Forget all that. I mean, this is reading the newspaper,
flipping through a
magazine. Yeah. So the 20-year-old that looked at, keep in mind, you back up 20 years, and he's born in 1937. Okay. Right now, he is 93 years old. No, he's that's not right. He's 88 years old. 88 years old.
Yeah.
So the problem is there's just not that many 88-year-olds still around. And let me tell you something. I'm going through a sciatica event right now, and I remember back in the day people talking about, well, these old guys, they can't even get in these crazy cars now. I get it.
It's like my lingering nerve pain for my shingles. This is giving me a Medicaid commercial.
I get it, man. I mean, you love the car and you love how it looks and you love how it drives. Well, it's
a long way down.
It ain't about getting up; it's about getting down.
Yeah, exactly.
And so what happens is this 57 T-Bird I'm looking at here. Yeah, we'll show a picture of this car, and you're looking at it right now. But this car is, I saw this car. I've always loved the looks of a 57 T-Bird, but I mean, there's still some of them around for sale, and you still have a group of these guys that was born in 1937 that still love that car. However, this car was a resto mod. They had put a modern engine in it. Every time you turn the key, a fuel injection, boom, it fires up right there, and you're not dealing with any carburetors. Tons of horsepower, 450 horsepower, which back in the day, in the 1970, 13 years later, 450 horsepower in the muscle car world. I mean, that was a Chevelle LS6.
Yeah,
man, that would kill anything on the road.
Yeah.
But that's what this thing's got now, and it's a whole lot smaller and a whole lot lighter. I mean, it's a great, great, great car. But and I think because of the whole resto mod influence and the whole resto mod swing, I think you're still going to see a lot of people because maybe their grandfather had one, or or they just love that body style. I mean,
the Mark. Well, that's why they came out with the baby bird or the retro bird, right?
Yeah.
Is that an 04 or 5?
And that was the ugliest car ever was.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry if you have one, but I was not a fan of that car.
They're popular though.
They're popular though, and my next door neighbor, Junie Michaels, has got one of them and loves it.
Yeah, it's a V8 Taurus. You jump in it and go.
V8.
Sorry, Ford.
That's what it is. Exactly what it is. But we were looking at these numbers today, and 30% of the market, 30% of the collector car market was born in 82 to 96, and past 96. So I mean,
that's why you got the GTAs, Trans Ams and the Z28s and Z cars and all those things. They're like, they're crazy money. I remember when I bought one for $800.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you look at that 96, 1996. Okay.
Yeah.
Back up 20 years. Now that cat was born in 1976.
Yeah.
So right now he's 24. He's 48 years old.
Yeah. Right.
He's just now coming into money. Right. See, and the whole key is the money.
And the car he couldn't afford.
The car he couldn't afford it.
The car Trans Am.
The Z28. The Z car.
Yeah, the Z280
the
ZX.
Z cars that he went down to the dealership and drooled over, and could have bought it for $4,800. I mean,
he's turning around and
touch it for $4,800. But the thing about it is now he's got plenty of money. So a little bit of it comes into not only what you've got, but inflation as well. Because $4,800. It'd be interesting to see how much $4,800 was in 1976.
Yeah, the buying the versus today.
Yeah. So it's or 1996 versus yeah. So it's it's a crazy deal, and you just have to come up with these equations as to why. And you can, and it's interesting because I've been at Barrett Jackson, been to all of them, and you can sit in a great seat in the back of the whole studio deal, and it's what I call a Q-tips. Okay, in every seat is a Q-tip, like right here,
or a gray spot.
Yeah, gray-headed old guy sitting right there, and his wife, a little gray-headed old woman. And she's sitting there, and they're sitting there looking to buy their youth, okay? Because they will, because I told somebody one time, I said, understand this, as you get older, you get up in your 60s and your 70s, or even your late 50s, you can buy anything you want. You can buy houses, you can buy cars, you can buy horses, you can buy vacations, you can buy boats, airplanes, buy anything you want, but you can't buy one thing. Can't buy you.
Yep. You're right.
Can't, but you would if you could.
Yeah.
Believe me, everybody'd love to be a little younger.
So you buy the memory.
So you buy the memory.
Right.
You buy the memory.
You buy the lime green Z car.
Buy the lime green Z car, exactly. You buy the memory.
Yeah.
And that's the whole secret to life. Is just people trying to be younger. And say if you buy the memory, then guess what? You can take that little sweetheart that you met in high school, that you spent 30 years with, and you can take her down on Saturday night in that car, and you can relive some of that youth in your life, buy you a cone of ice cream, turn up, play some music that you like, and drive it back, and that's a great night.
Yeah, get a bench seat automatic, slide your sweetie over.
Yeah, man. Exactly. And that's what you're dealing with.
Yeah,
and like I said,
so they're time machines.
They are time machines.
So just not the DeLorean and Back to the Future. Yeah. They are time machines.
Because the one thing about Americans that has always been the case is cars.
Oh yeah,
more than any other citizenship in the world. It's America. It leads.
So this is interesting. We didn't even talk about this earlier. I was talking to my sister this past Sunday. She had they're rearranging some things at the house. She found a box that she hadn't opened in forever.
Wow.
And there were all these letters between my grandmother and her older sister who was away at boarding school.
Right.
And the difference was Buffalo to Philadelphia, which we'd drive in a day.
Yeah, right.
But it was 1928.
No interstate.
There's no interstate. There's no nothing. That was That was an adventure and a trip
Yeah. Yeah.
to do that.
And you had to pull over to one of those little condo lodges.
Yeah.
Along the highway and
Exactly.
spend the night. You ain't gonna drive all night. You're not in some of the older cars.
No way. And you better know how to change a tire and put a tube in it, which nowadays is like, what? So that was really, really interesting. So,
Yeah.
and she found my grandfather's first driver's license too.
Yeah.
So she sent me that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to getting that.
Well, and I think these younger cats that are into the car hobby now, some of them think that it's always been like this, but it's not. And the thing about it is they can get into some of the older cars like the T-Birds or whatever because there's parts are so easy to find. It's become such an industry now to make replica
it wasn't
parts.
even 20 years ago. There wasn't the replica parts.
No, you're right.
40, 50 industries when those guys were hot rod and Model A's or, in the 60s, which is why I have a thing for a high quality hot rod.
Yeah.
Or they were, trying to find the original parts to do them. You're looking for new old stock stuff. Nobody was making that stuff.
Yeah, and when you hear somebody talk about NOS parts, that's new old stock, and that stuff is gold.
Yeah,
now. I was thinking about when I restored that number 193 Z car. I spent 8 years on that car. 8 years restoring it.
Yeah.
And dude, I can remember hunting some parts that there ain't no way I'm ever gonna find that.
Yeah.
And I finally found it.
Yeah, somebody's got it somewhere.
I remember there it had those cars had D hubcaps on. Had big D right in the middle of the Datsun.
Yeah.
Okay. And somehow I stumbled on the part number for that hubcap. I found it. I forget how I found it, but I found it. And so a friend of mine told me, he said, well, you need to go down to the Datsun store, give them that part number, see if they can find you those hubcaps. And I'm like, ain't no way that's going to happen. That's never going to happen. But what the hell? I went to Independence Nissan, gave a lady the parts number. He says, there ain't no anywhere in the United States, but there's 2 in Warner Robins, Georgia. I said, you got to be kidding me. He said, no, it's 2 on the shelf in Warner Robins, Georgia. You want to call her? I said, yeah, I do. So they called them, and the girl says, yeah, I'm showing them right here on the shelf. And she went back there and she still had me on the phone. And she said, yeah, I got them. They got about 3 inches of dust on them. But you want them? I said, yeah, how much? She said, $100 a piece. I said, Jill, and it's like $2,000 a piece to buy them on eBay.
Oh my gosh, that's the deal.
Yeah, send them to me. I'll take them.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but I bought 2 brand new hubcaps for that old Z car.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Those stuff still is.
Oh, yeah, it was out there.
Yeah. I love looking at the AACA site.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I also, because there's history lessons in it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And like when we were talking at lunch with your son today,
AACA is American
Antique Automobile Club of America.
America.
Great. Right. If you're ever in Hershey, go to the museum.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a large bus transportation thing downstairs, which is fascinating.
Hershey, Pennsylvania.
It's really, really cool.
They have Ford Nationals up there too. It's huge.
Yep. And I think they have both those stainless steel body Fords, the 58 Thunderbird and a Model A that were stamped out of stainless steel when Ford was trying to figure out, is that a better alternative?
Wow.
But we were talking at lunch and Dustin brought up who was his son? Okay, we're talking.
Yeah.
I don't know, how old is he? I've known him. See, I always remember him as knee-high.
Oh, Dustin?
Yeah.
Dustin is 24, right?
Okay. Yeah. All right. So there's a young guy that's like, when did they start modifying cars? They're making overhead valves, motors for Model A's because somebody wanted to go faster.
When they started modifying cars when the second car was built.
Exactly.
Because the second one wanted to go faster than the first one.
Yeah. But there's all those. So I've got online right now this killer 28 Model A. It is an over-the-top build. It's on one of our auction site friends. I'm committing that simple. Real steel car, modified in every single way. But it's got a 39 Merc flathead in it. It's been overboard.
Yeah.
And has all the right Offenheiser parts. What he couldn't find, nowadays you can, scan it, make it, cast it.
Yeah.
The car is absolutely killer, incredible.
With these 3D printers, a lot of times you can print the damn part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least you can print your model to scan or scan or recreate. I've seen guys take broken parts and be able to make a whole part and then recast stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I have a fascination of that. And I was thinking about that after we had talked earlier. And it's from building those 32 Ford and Model A hot rods from those Revel kits.
From people coming back from World War II.
Yeah. But I was building the models in the 60s.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 7, 8, 9 years old, 68 to 72. I'm a kid.
Yeah.
Can't drive. Car geek. Got Hot Wheels. You sat on a Saturday morning, no internet to look at. So I built a car model.
Yeah. And you sat there as a kid dreaming about driving it one day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And you figured out when you got to second, when you would race them around something. Yeah.
Yeah, then you break them and rebuild them. Yeah.
Well, got some big news this week. I was lucky enough to be one of the few people in America to get a Ford GT. And we were on a trip to Europe, or a trip in Europe, and I got an email. I have this building, and one of my renters in here is a company called Multimatic, and Multimatic is the company out of Toronto, Canada, that built every single Ford GT. They built them all. And of the new ones now, not the 05, 06 cars. They didn't do those, but they did all the new ones. They started in 017 and did it up through 22. So my friend up here in the front with Multimatic is Stephen Charlesley and Charlie Cadell, and I kept asking them, guys, get me on the list for a Multimatic. Well, they did, and they gave me the application. I had to bring a film crew in here and film everything that I did. I had to show them all the Ford trucks that I bought back in the day for my other business that I had. And I mean, that was a big deal to even fill out the application. So I did.
Yeah, the vetting process.
And so they had my they were real strict about who got a car. So they finally called me, and I finally got one after 2 years, and I was sitting waiting.
2 years waiting.
2 years waiting. Yeah. So and Stephen kept telling me, when it gets down to the end, you know, you'll get one. I believe you'll get one. Well, I did, and so I was really honored to get it. Well, you had to keep the car for 2 more years before you could even.
I remember it came off the trailer.
Yeah, you remember we had 70 people here watching this car back here come off the trailer. We had cooked them lunch, and I mean, it was amazing.
It was a great day.
It was a great day. And so anyhow, I told a friend of mine that if he ever found somebody interested in buying it, that I'd think about selling it. And so he come back to me a week or so later, and he said, I found a guy that wants it, and he obviously wants it more than you do, because he's willing to pay a lot for it. So I had gotten my form saying that I was okay for me to sell. I actually had a bigger offer when I couldn't sell it. Yeah, I couldn't sell it. So I got my form it was that I could sell it. So basically it's leaving here this week. It's my wife is not real happy about it. I am, because
do we have to have another episode of
Gas
Pedal Girl?
Yeah. May have to have another one, but I'm kind of happy about it because made really good money on it, and one of those Cobras in Kissimmee might have my name on it. So I ain't gonna make no predictions, but that's what I'd like to have. I've got all continuation Cobras, which are basically
cool,
a glorified replica.
They're more than that.
But it's more than that, because it's aluminum body. All my cars are aluminum bodies, and they all have Carroll Shelby numbers.
Yeah, exactly. So
and they're built exactly like what they should be built. But I want an original, and so
there's a few good ones to choose from. Small block, big block, race cars, drag race cars.
I know.
The Dragon Snake cars had no front brakes, right? Or did they?
No, I don't think they had any fans or anything. Yeah, I don't know how they even drove on the road.
Yeah, just
Yeah, and when the race cars didn't have any fans.
yeah,
Because they were always going fast forward and they didn't need a fan.
right.
So it's back in the day, and when you realize how few of those cars they made, and they didn't make but just a few for the road, but the ones for the road, and just like the Ford GTs back in the early Le Mans days, those cars are going for $6-7 million.
Yeah.
And a lot of people still think, because of their connection to Ferrari and how they outran Ferrari back in the day, that they're highly undervalued.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just something else that
And there's 5 real ones.
yeah.
But circling back to what we just talked about the continuation replica market, what are there 40 over the 10 days down there or something like that for sale at Meagle?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, yeah,
including
there's a bunch, yeah,
right.
yeah.
So,
And there's one that's the same as that black one right over there, but
Okay.
it's a fiberglass car. Where that one is a silver one, and they've got it estimated at 300 to 350. And I tell you what, I'd like to see a fiberglass car go for that much. That's a big number.
Yeah.
That's a big number.
Yeah. So there's, I hear it a lot, especially when you get into the street rides. You hear guys talking about, steel is real and glass is glass and all that.
Yeah.
Well,
the ones that never say nothing bad about a Corvette.
if I ever ran across a steel Corvette, I'm snapping it out. If it's got a GM VIN on it. Those same guys never say nothing bad about your Corvette. Be careful, because didn't they make an aluminum Corvette, the mid-engine prototype? Deal. That's another show.
Yeah.
But it's the effort that goes into it, right?
Yeah.
To make it that, to take the raw materials, whatever you decide to do for whatever reason,
Right.
and get the gaps right and buy the right door handles and be careful with the final assembly and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's, when they talk about build quality, you are building quality into these restorations and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's, you get attached to these old cars and they do good, and you do good with them. But when somebody comes along and you can make a monster profit, my thought process is I'd like to cut down to about 10 cars, but 10 really expensive cars.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where I'm headed.
Yeah,
and
there's 10 on that wall.
Well, I know, but that's not the really expensive one. I promise you. But that's kind of where we're looking to. But
a big block or a small block crowbar would be a great cornerstone.
it would be,
And you get in the modern era, like we talk about these 3-pedal Ferraris.
Yeah, oh yeah,
The 363 pedal you got.
yeah.
Right. There's another
430. That's 430.
Yeah.
Then the difference.
The 430. Yeah.
The difference between a 430 and a 360. 360 is a belt, timing belt.
Chain.
430 is a timing chain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's such a much better car.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you ain't dealing with that. You don't have to deal with that. Well, has it had an engine overhaul and change the belts, because the chain never wears out.
Yeah, I just saw, it was on something, one of the TV, it was on Haggerty TV, the next big thing. They were talking about, they drove a 355 manual and a 360 manual back to back on the car. And the 360 obviously being a whole other generation of cars.
Right.
The wedges being before. But I started looking at that 355 and I immediately jumped online to see what they were going for, because I'm like, I like those wedge cars.
Pretty badass little car.
Yeah, but that's
it's small.
They're tiny. Yeah. That was, you go back to this generational thing, Testarossas, the side straight cars, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It was all, I has it when I had my huge wide shoulder pads and my Hugo Boss suit, playing Mr. Corporate America.
Right.
That's the car I wanted, man.
Well, I'm gonna tell you
I
something.
was driving BMW. I wasn't doing bad, but
we were on a trying to think what it was. It was our guy down in Lancaster that does the Tour Deluxe.
oh yeah,
Tour Deluxe. We were on one of their trips a few weeks ago, and it started at the Ferrari place in Greensboro, and a guy they had just bought it or something, but they were rolling it in the showroom. It was a one mirror Testarossa.
A flying mirror,
high flying mirror Testarossa. That's a pretty rare car.
That's a very rare car.
Yeah, and I came real close to pulling the trigger from.
I like this. See, but there you go. There's another era, Miami Vice, right?
Oh yeah,
you can tie the memories to this.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see, and I think Meekum is going to set the tone for the year.
Oh yeah,
these 5 Cobras go off. There's other killer stuff in there.
Yeah.
You and I love the Cobra thing, but it'll be interesting what the year goes, and then we'll be in full swing. Before you know it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's the Meekum starts off next week, then Barrett Jackson's right after that in Scottsdale, and then there's a bunch of other auctions in Scottsdale. So and then Amelia will come up in February or March.
Yeah.
And so it's it'll really get crazy here in just a little bit.
Yeah. But Amelia and the St. Pete IndyCar race are always those weekends. I'd try and make a trip out of the whole thing.
But the whole key to this and doing it and feeling good about what you've invested in is keeping up with what's going on. And you can see with these numbers right here, 36,000 cars sold versus 80,000 cars sold in 5 years. I mean, what a rocket climb that is.
Yeah.
And the cool part about the online cars, and you can do this with most auctions. Some of them are a little, you struggle getting the results from.
Yeah.
But bring a trailer is just like it's like a catalog. If you want to see what the last Shelby Series 1 sold for.
Oh, you look up short of yeah. And Meekum, if you subscribe, so obviously subscribe to us here at Parking Money,
right,
and you can subscribe to Meekum. I mean, you don't have it costs nothing.
Yeah,
so you can see the results there and follow along, and in brick and mortar dealerships everywhere I've been, man, when Car Week starts, it's always in the bottom corner of everybody's screen.
Monitor.
Sorry, all you GMs out there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But you're watching it, because that's entertainment and event, and where I think the online auction is more transactional, and it's certainly more immediate.
Yeah,
even the wait times are down too.
Yeah. Do you think that the brick and mortar car sales businesses have an advantage over online from the standpoint of being able to touchy-feely type business?
I think that's a huge competitive advantage of brick and mortar.
Yeah.
You can get in it, you can sit in it, feel it, because cars are sensory.
Yeah.
You can drive it, start it, hear it, and that's happens versus a video.
Yeah.
Right. And there's it's not as immediate, so you can take a little more time to think about it.
Right.
And it kind of depends on your personality too.
Yeah. The biggest thing I like about the online auctions is the fact that they're stretched out over 6 or 7 days.
Yes.
And you get, as opposed to you just going over and looking, maybe taking a mechanic and going over looking, you get the entire universe.
Oh, the peanut gallery.
The peanut gallery is nuts.
And that's interesting. So I sold that La Spada.
Yeah.
And there were some really knowledgeable guys, because there's not a lot of Espadas.
Right.
The Lamborghini Espada they made from 69 to 78 roughly. 4-passenger GT touring car, V12, right. Same motor as a Miura.
Yeah.
Cool car. Values just never went where Miuras were. They're worth a tenth of that.
Yeah. Well, Miuras are just now going out of sight.
Yeah. That really neat car, but some really helpful guys jumped in and commented.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's not exactly correct. And they do it with good style. There's people who jump in and are like, why would you never drive it? Or why are you selling it? And everybody has a reason why they're selling something.
Your folks at Streetside, I mean, I met them.
Good
like
folks.
them. They're good guys.
Mm-hmm.
Donna's a great girl. I really like. She actually, if you remember at our auction thing over there, she actually bought that 240Z that I donated to
Trump
or
St. Jude's.
To St. Jude's.
Yeah, it happened around the Trump concourse.
She paid a big number for that car, and that was a big charity thing for us for the year.
I'm biased but they are the brick and mortar solution.
Yeah.
I was there for a long time. There's good folks. They treat you well. There's a lot of things you can do in any brick and mortar dealer too. They can assist you with financing. You can get some extended warranties on things. There's a lot of things you can get out of brick and mortar that the auction companies will start to kind of figure that out. Bring a Trailer's figuring out that brokerage.
But what I never could figure out is why would they never embrace the bringing trailer stuff?
I don't know.
It's never made any sense to me.
Some
companies will, and you see a lot of dealers on bring a trailer, but not all of them will.
They're very good at what they do. Their marketing is probably second to none.
Yeah, they're on eBay a lot.
Oh yeah,
They'd be quite a lot.
eBay is lead generation.
Yeah,
for even the big exotic dealers I worked for.
Right.
You're not selling too many cars off eBay, but you're getting phone calls.
Yeah.
Now on eBay, you will get a lot of what's the tire size? I see them the high bidder at $8,000. It's like, dude, it's a Coyote powered 57 Thunderbird. You're not getting it for
$8,000. No, it's going to wait till the last few minutes. It's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
I'll have a little brick and mortar place too.
Yeah,
certain things will go there, and certain things will go online.
Yeah,
it's just going to be.
You need to be as diverse as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And then social media. I know guys that sell cars exclusively through social media. There is a tour golfer, PGA tour golfer here in town.
Yeah,
big Chevy guy, loves vets. Maybe we should have him on. He sells most of his stuff through social media.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I'm like,
just on Facebook.
Yeah. Just on Facebook, Instagram posts. He's got maybe it's because he was a professional athlete.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's
he doesn't have a whole lot of time to aspire to it
he's really involved. His shop's about this big, probably has 20 bets in it.
Wow.
So,
yeah. It's there's 10 ways to skin a cat.
Oh yeah.
And as long as you get it done, that's all that matters.
And with the growth that we've seen in the market, 350% just on online.
Yeah.
And what Spencer was telling us about the size of the car hobby, I should have called them and say, what was it in 19?
Yeah.
How many collector cars are in that market? I think the market is, it's got some pitfalls. Things are changing. We'll adapt. We'll figure it out. But it's not going to go away.
And the thing about it is my little deal that I talked about, the equation that I had. We're sitting here and I'm looking at some of our notes over here. When I took the Z cars out to Monterey, that my little equation was back up 20 years. So you back up 20 years from a kid that looked at a 1981 280ZX 10th anniversary car.
Yeah, that was you and I in college.
Yeah,
right.
Getting right out of high school. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And going, I can't afford that, but I want
one of these days I'm going to have it. Well, I had a 10th anniversary 280ZX that I took to Monterey last year or year before last.
Yeah, tell what you're doing.
And it was a 12-mile car that I found in Louisiana. They only made 500 of the red and black 10th anniversary cars. It set a world record $210,000.
That's amazing. So there's some kid who's our age now who was a kid who saw that.
Yeah.
Sitting in that Datsun dealer.
Right.
It was a Nissan. It was probably just brand new Nissan.
Yeah.
Probably rebranded Nissan.
Yeah.
Right.
And Nissan had been out 15 years max.
Yeah. And kicking himself when he saw that at auction. I should have bought that.
Here's one of them for sale down the street the other day. I should have bought that car.
I was out of high school. That beer conversation's in, right?
Yeah.
Beer and bench racing, it's good. It's a fun hobby. It's a great lifestyle.
Yeah.
To immerse yourself in.
About all of my friends and all of me and my wife's friends are somehow related to these old cars. And we just when you go to the auctions, and all your friends will already be there, and it's a good lifestyle, and it's you enjoy bringing these younger guys up. Like my goal here is to bring Dustin up into what we're doing here and everything, and just kind of make him understand how important some of this stuff is, and it's very cool.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. It's neat to see you talking about some of that stuff. It's a happening when you go to an auction.
Yeah.
You can go to a brick and mortar store and hang out with your buddies. What are you doing? It's a rainy Saturday. Let's get breakfast and go over and check out and see what's new, right? Or you can sit on online. I mean, there's a lot of ways to attack the hobby now that weren't before.
And I'll tell you a great thing to do. You know, if you go to an auction and you're looking to buy a car, great move is take your wife and get on the front row of the auction, or somewhere up close front, and tell her you're going to tap her knee every time you want her to bid, and let her bid. And you talk about something that'll excite her.
That's fun. Yeah.
The greatest thing I ever did, was take Debbie to Barrett Jackson.
Really?
Yeah. Because she got to see the event side,
the show.
The show, and see how much these guys were just going crazy over these cars, you know, and the investments, and realize the whole money side of it.
Yeah, well, you remember way back in the day when I was dating that brunette.
Oh yeah.
It opened her eyes when we went to Amelia back then.
Oh yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So it's fun. There's you can find a venue for anything, and you just find what you do and you like. Everybody's gonna always do a little bit of anything, and maybe lean more into one thing.
Right.
And you see all these car memes. I saw another one this week. There's a Charger parked next to a Tesla, and 30 years nobody's gonna be, nobody's going to be restoring a Tesla, or nobody's going to be restoring a Civic. I'm like, dude, they're already restoring Civics.
Yeah, they're already. Well, I buy it on Civic. I'm not so sure about Tesla.
I bet you somebody's going to
probably so, yeah. Well, that little Tesla Roadster.
Somebody will restore.
Somebody probably restoring one now.
You're right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us for this deal. Brian and I have been talking about this for a while, just sitting and kind of talking about the car market and what we've seen and what we've enjoyed and this and that, and we're gonna get Dustin up here to join us one evening and just
he's shaking his head.
just kind of bring him up to speed on what a little bit of the BS that we know and what he can make some fun with going forward. And so thank you so much. Guys, please like and subscribe. Please do. Please tell your friends. Please
share it.
Share it. Absolutely. Please send out the alerts where it'll alert you when the new one's coming out.
Comments, good or bad.
And this summer, we're talking about 25 the things we got going. Mm-hmm. We've already got our deal set up to where we're going to have a rollback with a golf cart on the back of it. We're going to go to car events. We're going to roll a golf cart up, and we're just going to ride around through the event.
Bring the show
to you. And we're going to talk about interesting cars that we see. We're going to get you to tell us an interesting story about that interesting car. And we'll initially just start in this area, but we hope to expand out and go out a little further.
Monterey,
would be cool.
I got big dreams.
Yeah, that'd be a little tough to get that golf cart on that golf
Dustin can drive the rollback.
Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Please come back next time, and please like and subscribe. Have a good day. Keep parking money.